Hey, this is Ian with iPhone Tech, and this is your video quick start guide for the IXG series. Before we get started, make sure you have the latest version of the IXG Support Tool downloaded. You can either get it on iPhone.com or from a link in the description below. All of the IXG stations are network devices. Each of them is going to need their own IP address. We highly recommend that before we start programming these devices, you acquire IPs that are going to work on your customer's network ahead of time. These addresses can either be static or reserved from DHCP. We also recommend pre-programming these devices on a bench setup using an unmanaged switch. This will allow you to fully verify the function of the system before going out and installing it on the customer's network. In the top left-hand corner of the IXG Support Tool, you're going to see a Save button. If this button says Update for you, then you're using the international version of the Support Tool. If you're in the North American market, you will need to go to iPhone.com and download the latest version of the IXG Support Tool. If this is your first time opening the Support Tool, the Create New System window will automatically appear. If not, you can go to File in the top left-hand corner and click Create New System. Once you see this window, you'll need to enter in all the information with a red diamond next to it, including the name of the system, ID and password, and any location information if you're utilizing mobile apps. The stations in an IXG series system are divided into units. You can think of these units as groups or containers of different devices. The exact number and type of stations you can have in a particular unit are designated by that unit's type. We can have up to 9,999 units in one system. The first unit type we'll go over is the commercial unit. These are best represented by offices, schools, or industrial environments. We can have up to 8 total answering stations, including a combination of IXMV7s, IXSoft PC answering stations, and IXRS handsets. In these units, we can also have up to 8 IXG mobile apps, 2 door stations, 1 registered VoIP extension, and 1 registered phone number with the IXGW-TGW. The guard unit's main use is going to be for security desks or guard shacks. In this unit, we can have up to 8 total IXG-MKs and IXRS answering stations, 1 registered VoIP extension, 8 mobile apps, 2 door stations, and 1 registered phone number with the IXGW-TGW. The outside area unit is for housing door stations. In this unit, we can hold up to 10 door stations. These are usually used for door stations outside of a commercial building or for housing emergency stations. Residential units are used for apartments. In here, we can hold 8 IXG2C7 or IXRS answering stations, 8 IXG mobile apps, 2 door stations, and 1 phone number registered with the TGW. The entrance station unit is specifically for our IXG DM7 HIDA entrance stations. This unit can hold up to 10 of them and can only hold this type of station. The inside area unit isn't commonly used. While it can hold a variety of answering stations, it doesn't have the ability to hold mobile apps. Usually for these cases, we recommend using a combination of units, either commercial, guard, and outside area units to hold the devices you need to use. It's important to keep in mind that if you're using a VoIP extension in a unit, it's going to take up one of the answering station slots. Also, if you're using any accessory devices such as a relay adapter, mobile app gateway, or lift controller, these will not be added here in the unit section, but in a later step. Throughout this guide, the term master station and answering station will mean the same thing and will be used interchangeably. Before we get started adding any stations to our system, we need to open up our advanced view. Up at the top of the support tool, click View and then click Advanced. This is going to open our full suite of settings in the left side menu. Now that we're ready to add stations to our system, we're going to navigate to Site Settings on the left side and then Units and Stations. Units and Stations is where we're going to be adding in those units or groups of different devices in our system. Up at the top, we're going to go to Display Settings. Display Settings is where we're going to pick the maximum amount of master or answering stations we're going to have, as well as door or entrance stations. I recommend that you set this to the maximum number of answering and door stations that you're going to have in your largest unit. Now that we've done that, we're going to start adding units to the system. Over on the left side, we'll first pick a building number. This is generally going to just be one building, even if the site has multiple, just for ease of programming. After that, we're going to pick a unit number. This is a unique number for that particular unit or group. After that, we're going to pick our unit type, just like we talked about previously. In this example here, we're going to be adding 1 commercial unit and 1 outside area unit. Once you've selected these unit types, we're going to move over to the right to start adding stations. Over on the right side, you're going to see a few different types of columns. The master tenant column is where we're going to be adding in our different answering stations, and our door/entrance column is where we'll be adding our door and entrance stations. You're going to see a unique number of answering stations and door station columns depending on the display settings that we entered above earlier. Some other columns you'll see here are the number of mobile apps column to the far right. This is going to allow you to pick how many mobile apps are added into a particular unit. You'll also see to the left the phone registration column, which allows you to enable phone dialing with your IXGW-TGW for that particular unit. For commercial systems, we recommend putting all of your doors in outside area units while putting all of your answering stations in commercial units. This will allow the door stations in your outside area units to interact with any master station on the system if they need to. Now that we've added all of our units and stations, we need to save. Up in the top left-hand corner, click the Save button. This will save the configurations we just did to the Support tool. This is, however, not going to upload any of these settings to the devices themselves. This is going to come in a step later on. Next, we'll add some accessories. If you're using an IXW-MAA relay adapter, go over to Site Settings and then I/O Adapter Registration. Here, we can click a checkbox for each I/O adapter we'll be using in the system. Optionally, you can also give each adapter a name in the station name column on the right side. If your site is going to include an IXGW-TGW gateway, go to Gateway Settings and then Gateway Registration on the left side. Here, we're going to click the Enable checkbox for every gateway you need to add to the system. Optionally, you can also add a name for this here in the station name column on the right side. After adding in all of your gateways, make sure to go up to the left side and click the Save button to save your configuration. Now that we've added all of our devices, we can start giving them network information. Over on the left side menu, click on Network Settings and then IP address. Here you're going to see a list of all of your different stations. To the right of that list, you're going to see all of your different IP options for each station, including IP version, static or DHCP options, IP address, subnet mask, and your default gateway. If you have a lot of stations in your system, we can use our batch IP address configuration to assign all of them simultaneously. Here we can pick a starting IP, subnet mask, and default gateway, and it will increment all of this information to every station you select. If you have an IXGW-TGW in your system, we have to set some special settings since it's connecting to the internet. For your TGW, it needs a default gateway as well as a primary and secondary DNS server. It's also important to keep in mind that if you want to utilize NTP on any of your other A-phone devices in your system, they will also need a default gateway and primary and secondary DNS server set. To enable NTP for your stations, go to Network Settings on the left side, then select NTP. Here you can enable the setting as well as put in the specific NTP server you want to pull that information from. If we're wanting to set unique names for any of our individual stations or mobile apps, we can navigate to the side menu and go to Station Information Identification. Here we can set both a unique name as well as a unique station number for each individual device. Now we need to send all of this IP information to our devices. Up at the top of the Support tool, click Connections and then Association Settings. Here in the Association menu, you're going to see three different windows. We have our Station Setting List, Station List, and Associated Station List. The station setting list is going to represent the settings that we have just now set on all of our devices during our programming. The station list is going to be a search on your network of any A-phone devices the Support tool was able to find. The Associated Stations list is going to show you any stations that have already been associated through the Support tool and have received their IP information. If you don't see any stations appearing in your station list in the middle, it could be that the Support tool is using the wrong network adapter. In the top left-hand corner, if we click File and then IXG Support Tool Settings, we can see the exact network adapter the Support tool is trying to use. Make sure that you're using an Ethernet adapter here that is connected to the same switch as the devices you're trying to program. Now we'll start sending IP information to these devices. Up in the Station Settings list, select the settings that we want to send. Then in the station list in the middle, pick the device that the Support tool found on the network that we want to send those above settings to. Once you have selected both of those options, click the Apply button in the bottom left-hand corner. This will send all of those IP settings to that device. After associating a station, it's going to reboot. This may take up to several minutes before it becomes available again. It's also important to keep in mind that the association process is only sending IP information to these devices. No programming information has yet been sent to any of them. Address books are how we determine which devices are allowed to interact with each other. On the side menu, go to System Information and then Station List. Here in the station list, all of our answering stations and mobile apps will be listed on the left side in rows. Along the top in columns, we will see every single station in the system. This is an intersecting menu. If we have a master station that is intersecting with a door station and there's a check mark there, that means those two devices will be able to interact with each other. If you have an answering station or mobile app that you don't want to have access to a particular door, Find where those two stations intersect in the menu and make sure that the checkbox is blank. Now, the address book we just filled out is only telling our answering stations and mobile apps what they're allowed to see and interact with. To control where our door stations on the outside are calling into, we need to go to Call Settings. On the left-hand menu, navigate to Call Settings and then to Called Stations, Door/Substations. Here you're going to see all of your door stations along the left in rows and all of the stations your door stations are able to call along the top in columns. Here it's going to work very similarly to how it worked before, but instead of check marks, we're going to have a couple of different letters. In the drop-down box where those two stations intersect, you'll see two different options. You'll see U for unicast and M for multicast. Most of the time, we're just going to be selecting U. If you are going to leverage multicast on a door station, the network the system exists on needs to have multicast groups set up ahead of time. Following the row for a particular door station, every single drop-down that intersects with an answering station that has a U in it means that door station is going to call that answering station when its button is pressed. If we don't want that door station to call a particular answering station, we want to make sure that that drop-down where they intersect is left blank. If you would like your door station to not only call answering stations but also mobile apps, on the far right side of this menu, you will see an option to select a mobile app group. Once this mobile app group is selected, that group of apps will also be called along with any selected answering stations when the call button on that door station is pressed. Now that we've finished the basic configuration for the system, we need to upload settings to the devices before they can interact with each other. In the top left-hand corner of the Support tool, click on Connections and then Upload Settings. Here in the Upload Settings menu, you can see a list of all the devices we can upload settings to. If you can't select a particular device, it most likely has not been associated yet, which means it does not have an IP address and the Support tool won't be able to communicate with it. Once you're ready to upload settings, select every device you want to upload to, and then click the Settings button on the bottom left-hand corner to upload the settings file to all the devices. The settings upload can take up to several minutes to complete. During this time, you may see a pop-up on your screen that says Setting Upload Failed. This indicates that one or multiple of your stations has failed to receive its settings. You can monitor which stations have successfully and unsuccessfully received their settings using the status column along the right side. Now we're going to check the firmware version of our stations. In the Support tool, go to Connections in the top left-hand corner and then click Station Search. The Support tool will do a search of the network looking for all IX and IXG stations that it can find and show you their current firmware version along with other information. Knowing the current firmware for each of your different stations, go to aphone.com or follow the link in the description below to find our firmware library. Here you can cross-check to make sure that all of your devices are on the latest version of firmware. If any of your stations are out of date, you can update them right through the IXG Support tool. On the left-hand menu, go down to the very bottom and select Maintenance. Under Maintenance, you'll see Firmware Update. In the Firmware Update menu, click Browse next to the specific type of device that you're trying to update. Once you've selected its new firmware file, in the lower section, select every device of that same type, then click the Update button. Once the update is started, it could take several minutes to complete. During this time, be sure the stations are not powered off as it could cause permanent damage. Now we're going to be moving on to mobile app configuration. Keep in mind that for mobile apps to be functional, it requires your system to be utilizing an IXGW-TGW gateway. First, we'll need to create a new administrator account. If you already have an administrator account for an IXG system, you can skip this step. At the top of the Support tool, we'll select App Integration and then click Create a New Administrator. Here we're going to enter in a new unique ID and password, as well as your email address. Once you've done this, click Create to continue. A verification code will be sent to the email that you registered. Enter in your administrator ID and verification code and click Activate. Next up, we'll be assigning our gateway to specific units that will be utilizing mobile apps. Navigate to Gateway Settings, then Gateway Selection on the side menu. For each unit that will have mobile apps registered, we'll use the drop-down menu under Gateway Number to select the desired gateway. Most sites will only have one primary gateway, but a secondary gateway can be assigned using the same steps. Now that we've created your administrator account and selected which units will be utilizing the gateway, we need to send this information to the IXG Cloud Server. Navigate to App Integration and then Upload Settings to IXG Cloud Server. Log in with your IXG Cloud Server account, then agree to the licensing agreement. The upload will start automatically after. Once we've uploaded to the IXG Cloud Server, we'll need to make sure we sync our gateway. Under App Integration at the top, we'll go to Manual IXG Cloud Server and Gateway Sync. Once here, we can sync our gateway with the cloud. To add mobile devices to the system, we'll need to export QR codes. On the top menu, we'll navigate to App Integration and then Export QR Code for app registration. We'll place a check mark next to each unit that we want to export a registration code for. Once we click Export QR Code for app registration, this will create a PDF with a set of QR codes for each unit. Each code can be used once, and after that it's disabled. To download the IXG mobile app, it's available either on the App Store or Google Play Store. Once you install and open the app, it'll prompt you for camera access so you can scan one of the registration QR codes. Our IXG Series stations have built-in door release relays. We can use the triggering of these door release relays to send SIF signals over the network to our IXW-MAA multipurpose relay adapter. This allows us to use the relays on that adapter to trigger door release as opposed to the relays that are built into our door stations. If you haven't added an IXW-MAA into your system yet, you can follow the steps earlier in this guide to do so. Here's a quick explanation of how the IXW-MAA interacts with your IXG system. When an answering station or mobile app sends the command for a door station to release the door it is next to, the relay closing on that door station sends off a SIF signal to the IXW-MAA. When the adapter receives this signal, it sees which door station sent the signal in and fires the corresponding relay. For our first step of programming, we'll be going to SIF settings. Navigate to Function Settings on the left-hand menu and then go to SIF. For each door or entrance station that will signal the IXW-MAA, we want to set SIF functionality to Enable. Under the SIF Settings column, we want to set the program type to 0100. Then we'll enter the IP address of our IXW-MAA. Then we'll set the destination port to 65014, SSL to Enable, and connection to socket. After that, scroll right to the Transmission Trigger section. Here we will be checking the Change Contact checkbox for every station that will be signaling the IXW-MAA. After changing these settings, hit the Save button in the top left-hand corner. Now that we set up our door stations to signal our adapter, we need to set up the relays on the IXW-MAA itself. On the left-hand menu, navigate to Option Input, Relay Output Settings, then the Relay Output sub-tab. Relay Output 1 will be displayed here by default. The Display Settings menu at the top will allow us to change which relay output on the IXW-MAA we're currently viewing. Once a relay output is chosen, set the function on the IXW-MAA to Contact Change SIF event. You will need to do this for every relay that we want to be triggered by a door station. Scroll right from here to the Change Contact SIF event column and select the station that we want to trigger this relay. Click the Save button in the top left to save your programming, then repeat these steps for each IXW-MAA output that needs to be programmed. After making these changes, be sure to upload all settings to the stations following the steps shown earlier in this guide. The last thing we're going to cover today is call transfer settings. Call transfers allow an answering station to transfer a call that it's receiving to another place. The three different types we're going to go over today are delay transfers, absent transfers, and schedule transfers. A transfer occurs when an answering station receives a direct call and it hands it off to another group or station. A retransfer occurs when the station receiving the call hands it off to another station after that. A station receiving a retransfer can retransfer the call to another station, so on and so forth until the call times out. Once a call is transferred to a group of IXG mobile apps, this ends our chain of transfers, and the call cannot be transferred or retransferred to another group of apps or answering stations. For all of our transfer types, the door station that's initiating the call needs to not call the station that we want to transfer to. For instance, if our door station is calling answering station A and we want it to transfer to answering station B, if it rings both of them simultaneously when the call button is pressed, the transfer from A to B will never happen because the door station is already contacting that second station. To prevent this from happening, we'll want to go back to the call settings section earlier in this video and adjust our door stations so they do not call the stations that we want them to transfer to. We'll start off with delay transfers. Delay transfers are always active. When an answering station receives a call, it will hand that call off if it is not answered after a certain period of time. Navigate to Transfer Settings Delay Transfer on the side menu. On the station receiving the call, set Delay Transfer to Enable. Adjust the delay under Delay Time, which is how long the call will dwell at that station before being transferred to another host. Click Select Station or Select depending on your type of answering station. Select the transfer destination and then click OK. If you'd like to include apps in the transfer, scroll right and click Select to choose a unit's apps to be included in that transfer. To configure a retransfer, scroll right to the Retransfer Destination section. On the answering station that's receiving a call from a transfer, select an answering station or unit's mobile apps using the same procedure as before. Next will be absent transfers. Absent transfers are toggled on and off using a button on your answering station. This allows the user to route calls to another answering station when they aren't available. To configure an absent transfer, navigate to Transfer Settings, Absent Transfer on the side menu. These are configured in the same way as delay transfers. The only exception is the delay time is not needed since the absent transfers are instantaneous as soon as the transfer button is turned on the answering station. Last will be scheduled transfers. Scheduled transfers are active during particular times. If a scheduled transfer is active, the calls to that answering station will be immediately transferred or retransferred. An example for this would be a school where we want our door stations to call into the front desk during school hours, but during after hours transfer immediately to the daycare center. Scheduled transfers are also configured the same way as delayed transfers, except for the need for us to set our schedule. Schedules can either be set as a recurring weekly schedule or on a particular date in the future. Schedules are entered in 24-hour time. Click the cells beneath the desired schedule to set a start time and end time. For example, a schedule that runs from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. would be entered with a start time of 9 and an end time of 1800. If a scheduled transfer starts on one day and ends after midnight on the next, set the start time later in the day and the end time earlier on the same day. For example, a schedule that runs from 10 p.m. on Monday to 7 a.m. on Tuesday would be entered under Monday with a start time of 2200 and an end time as 7. Scroll left to right to view different schedules. Use the Display Settings menu at the top of the page to adjust which days are displayed by clicking Schedule View Adjustment. Select a schedule for a future date under Daily Schedule, skip to a particular day of the week using the drop-down menu under Move to Related Settings, or adjust which weekly schedules are displayed under Display Range. Be sure after making these changes to upload all of your settings to the stations as shown earlier in this guide. If you configured a schedule transfer, be sure during the file setting upload portion that you click the Schedule button after uploading settings to the stations to send the schedule you created to the stations as well. And that concludes our video quick start guide for IX and IXG. For any additional resources, check our description below for links to our IXG product page, technical knowledge base, as well as related resources for each section in this video. Thanks for watching.